Scope of ethics. Ethics is concerned with the highest good or absolute good. It investigates the nature of its fundamental notions, that is, right, duty, and good. The scope of ethics indicates its subject matter. Ethics, as normative science, deals with the moral ideal or the good in order to enquire the nature of our conduct. It enquires into the nature of the springs of actions, motives, intentions, voluntary actions, and so on. It determines rightness or wrongness of human actions. It does not enquire into the origin and growth of human conduct. As a science of morality, ethics discusses the contents of moral consciousness and the various problems of moral consciousness. Moral judgments passed on or voluntary actions are also included within the scope of ethics. In discussing the moral judgment, it has also to concern with the nature, object, faculty, and standard of moral judgment. Moral sentiments and feelings are arising in our mind when we contemplate about the moral judgment, and therefore ethics has to discuss the nature of moral sentiments to moral judgment. Ethics also discusses the nature of human freedom, and ethics investigates what constitutes good or bad, just or unjust. It also raises some questions like what is virtue, what is law, what is conscience, what is duty, what obligations are common to all, what is the good in all good acts, what is the good or the moral ideal, what is the summum bonum or the chief good, what is the good in all good acts, etc. All these questions lie within the scope of ethics. The sense of duty, oddness or moral obligation and the responsibility for actions are also included within the range of ethics. Ethics is not only a guidebook of moral rules as a branch of philosophy, but also seeks clarification of terms used in moral language. The meta-ethical problems fall within the scope of philosophical aspect of ethics. Ethics is related to other branches of knowledge. Ethics is essentially related to all other branches of knowledge like sociology, political science, jurisprudence, law and legal study, psychology, anthropology, culture study, ecology, environmental study, economics, religion, aesthetics, and other similar areas. Ethics is concerned with political, sociological, cultural, psychical, economic, environmental, religious problems in pursuit of highest good. So, these problems have an additional place in the scope of ethics. With the emergence of new technology, there is scope for widening the scope of ethics to address new issues. Applied ethics is the practice of ethics that aims to guide the moral judgment governing the decisions we make in all areas of our lives. Issues of right and wrong are related to one's values. In the context of ethics, values are our standards of right and wrong. Now, philosophies have become more scientific and sciences have become more philosophical. The distinction between science and philosophy and between value science like ethics and general philosophy is a matter of degree. In that way, ethics is both scientific and philosophical, both descriptive and normative science, and both pure and applied, pure ethics and metaethics. Ethics is an art as it sets guidelines for practical conduct and also for understanding the meaning of what it is to act in an ethical manner. Ethics is concerned with goodness as an ultimate value, while some other normative sciences like aesthetics and logic are oriented to the ideals of beauty and truth respectively. No clear-cut boundary between science and philosophy, between descriptive science and normative science, and between ethics and philosophy is possible. Ethics is sometimes said to be the science of character. But in order to enquire into the nature of character, ethics must enquire into the nature of the springs of actions, motives, intentions, voluntary actions, and non-voluntary actions, and so on. Thus, ethics must be founded on psychological basis. But ethics enquires into the springs of actions, motives, intention, and voluntary actions only to pass moral judgments upon them. The fundamental problem of ethics is the nature or the moral ideal or standard with reference to which we pass moral judgments. Ethics is concerned with the highest or absolute good. Thus, the fundamental notions of ethics are right, duty and good, the nature of which it investigates. Ethics is concerned with the nature, object, faculty and standard of moral judgments. Moral judgments are accompanied by moral sentiments. Example, the feelings of approval and disapproval, remorse and the like. Ethics has to discuss the nature of moral sentiments and the relation of moral sentiments to moral judgments. Moral judgments are also accompanied by the sense of duty, oughtness or moral obligation. When we perceive an act to be right, we feel under a moral obligation to do it. When we perceive an act to be wrong, we feel under moral obligation not to do it. Ethics has to account for this sense of duty or moral obligation. This also raises questions like what is the nature of moral obligation, what is the origin of moral obligation, what is the source of moral obligation, to whom are we responsible for our conduct, etc. Our right actions have merit, our wrong actions have demerit. Ethics inquires into the criterion of merit and demerit. It tries to find out what makes an action meritorious. Merit and demerit are called deserts. They are investigated by ethics. Ethics assumes the freedom of the will. It discusses the nature of human freedom. We are responsible for our actions. Ethics inquires into the nature of responsibility. Criminals are responsible for their crimes, so they ought to be punished. Ethics gives the moral justification for punishment. Ethics determines the nature and kinds of rights, duties and virtues determined by the ultimate moral standard. Virtue and vice are also within its scope.